I think that there's also something to be said for being willing and able and being okay with making mistakes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of mistakes turn into really cool things.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, Zane, we are live. So
Awesome.
Hey.
Well, welcome everyone to Friday Conversations. This is our weekly gathering where we get together, just take a minute to slow things down, think clearly, listen well to each other. Nothing is scripted except for this little intro here. And yeah, just come join us, slow down a little bit. And I'd like to introduce our wonderful friend Dave and see who we have here with us today.
Wow, what a good looking group today. I'm so glad you guys made it. So glad that other people, we have thousands online, I'm sure. And it's just great to be here. I'm going to start this off by saying I'm Dave Ribble from Stand Up Mastery. And Stand Up Mastery can give you the opportunity to be better than you ever thought possible in communicating, connecting, and collaborating. And we have a whole lot of fun doing it. So that's me. Next to me is the incomparable Professor Rob Reuter.
yeah. Hey everyone. Yeah, Rob Reuter here with IDIC Designs, where Dave tries to help you master your current situation. I try to help you master your technology investments. Our goal is to always make sure you're making the right choices and communicating with your desired audience in a way that makes you productive and profitable.
Okay, Scott.
How's it going, everybody? My name's Scott. It's my first time here, so thank you for the invite. And what I do, I build custom fire pits. I've been doing it for almost 9 years. I built over 500 of them. And how I operate, like what moves the needle in my business is showing up to trade shows and spamming social media. And I get lucky and I go viral on social media here and there.
Yeah.
And beyond that, that's really why I'm at something like this, because I do need direction, I need community, and I need help with marketing. I know you guys are educated.
Okay, glad you're here.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Hey there, I'm Debbie Ramirez. I work with Champion Empire, and I wanted to say first, welcome to Scott. We're glad you're here. I probably need to talk to you at some point. But I work with Champion Empire. We work with business owners who are stressed out, overwhelmed, and stuck, and help them with a customized plan, then connect them with a deep bench of experts to walk with them to create the life that they've been dreaming of.
I'm Melissa Biron with Thrive Wellness, and I help others with their metabolic stability. So, and I do that with a lot of different things, with coaching, nutrition, mindset work, and just a couple other things that are very customized to what the person needs.
Todd.
Well, I'm Todd with Lump, LOMP, lots of moving parts. And what that company does is it has an AI tool that allows a buyer to search at their terms and walk away from the computer. So it's a dynamic search engine search tool. And we'd like to have your business.
Fantastic.
I am Leonidas Biron, the son of Melissa and Jonathan Biron. I currently manage my mother's social media account, among other things.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I am Jonathan Biron. The camera is slowly finding me. You'll find me later. It's all good. There I am. All right. It's Steve Hicks is like, the camera likes you right now.
You're obsessed with me every week.
It's so true. It doesn't matter where you sit.
It's almost
He
voyeuristic.
comes in at night and sets that up.
Well, it's not your turn yet. I'm a realtor, so I help people find houses, purchase them, sell them. I help people that want to become realtors. I help investors find properties, learn how to be investors. If it has something to do with real estate, I am probably interested in it. And if you need to know, want to know, people like Alec, who's about to introduce himself, that are connected into real estate, let me know. I would love to connect you with the resources and get you started on your journey into real estate.
Nice. My name is Alec Gonzalez. I'm a coach. I help pastors who are overburdened and underhelped and under the weather and just often just in a bad place. Find space and find a safe place to talk about life in so that they can, I don't know, have peace of mind, be more present with their families, have a more holistic way of looking at the world. This is my wife, Linda. I'm not sure if she's gonna speak or if I'm gonna do it.
I have backyard weddings, and when we were pastoring in West Central, it was pretty essential that people could find a place to get married that wasn't the courthouse, that they could have their family join them, and was really affordable. So that's kind of why we exist.
Love it. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Hicks with Thriving Body Holistic Fitness, and I'm the fitness coach that doesn't really care if you get six-pack abs. I just want you to have overflowing energy and be vibrant from the inside out.
Well, speaking of vibrant, I'm Zane with Go, and I'm proud to announce that we are the unofficial official sponsors of the Seattle Seahawks. And if you want someone that's gonna be able to answer your phones like the professionals, give us a call. We help make sure that your customers are taken care of and you can focus on what you do best, which is winning Super Bowls.
John, I just learned that there's some sort of a game on Sunday.
Yes, yes, and the reason that we're the unofficial official sponsors of the Seahawks is that we are the official sponsors of the New England Patriots. So, yeah, I think we're gonna get into this. We are gonna get into this.
Turn code.
We're just rooting for the 49ers. My philosophy is whoever the Seahawks are playing, that's my team.
Jonathan's just turning.
No, I know. That's why I had to find another team.
There's a lot.
Well, that is the group for today. We don't know how many people are on right now, but if you can write in, if you can say hi, if you can say, I'm listening to you, wave your hands, do whatever, right? So we can pick up on that as well. We're glad to hear it.
Absolutely.
I hand it off to you now.
All right, thank you, Dave. Yes, just to add on to that.
Yes, sir.
If you're watching on Facebook, Zane is keeping an eye on the comments and we'll chime in with, if you have a comment, if you have a thought, a question. It's not a perfect system because we keep the conversation going live, but if you're watching on Facebook, chime in with a comment and we'll try to acknowledge you.
And once again, where are we?
Yes, thank you. So we are at Dryfly, and we always want to give a shout out to Dryfly for hosting us. And then in collaboration, Dryfly and Idic Designs, our very own Rob Reuter, have provided lunch for us. And I like every week it gets a little bit better. Like I've heard from the people that run the place, like the top brass of Dryfly, that when we're here and they come up the stairs, it smells better up here. And not us, not RBO. It smells better than it ever smells. So they take really good care of us.
Business owners, we have the best.
So if you're looking for community, if you're looking for this conversation, we would love to have you down here. And if you just need a free lunch on Friday, come join us for some amazing pizza. So that is, I do appreciate you reminding me of that. We'll hopefully cap that at the end.
Yeah.
The other thing that we used to do, and we're not gonna go around and do it, but we do like to talk about what events are coming up that we're gonna be attending. So as we're going, if you think of something that somebody ought to show up to, I know, Scott, you're heading out to an event, but that's not local, so
Right.
that doesn't necessarily rise to this, but
Would this be a good time or later?
if you have one that's just like, boom,
Well, my wife Gay and I have standout marketing strategies and standout mastery.
yes,
And what we're offering for February is anybody who wants to just sit down with us for an hour or talk on the phone or Zoom, anything they want to work on with regard to their business, it's on us. We'll do it.
wow,
Wow.
love it.
You just
Awesome.
gotta sign up with me and get it going.
Perfect. And on that note, I do want to, Idic Designs is gonna just dominate this first part of the, Rob does, he is the adjunct professor at Gonzaga. He does office hours at Made with Love Bakery twice a week, and I'll let you shout out the exact
Okay.
time for those.
Yeah, so I do that in kind of a spirit of the role I play at Gonzaga. I do offer 2 hours twice a week at Made with Love Bakery at 2023 West Dean in the West Central neighborhood. And you'll find me there on Wednesdays from 11 to 1 and on Saturdays from 8 to 9:30, 10-ish, depending. So you can just drop in, bring your questions. We'll talk about business strategy, how technology helps you do that. And I'll probably pester you a little bit on what your marketing strategy is.
Absolutely. Awesome. Melissa's pointing at you. Do you have an event coming up?
Yeah, for anyone who is a nonprofit or knows a nonprofit that they love and want to see grow, Tuesday, February 17th, we're hosting the Philanthropy and Strategy Summit, having a couple of pretty amazing people coming into town who are going to be teaching strategy for how to go after the private funding to help grow the nonprofit and help the nonprofit to make an exponential impact in their area that the world needs them. So Jonathan knows how to get in touch with me. So does Zane, various people if somehow I'm not responding in the comments.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, so let's jump into it. Unless, did I miss it? I think we're gonna jump into it. So last week, and Stephen, I think you're the one that kind of prompted this for me, like your voice is in my head. So maybe it wasn't you, but last week we were
Proud to
talking
be the
about
loud American.
shifting mindsets, and we kind of adjusted, like talked about what it is and why it's important. And we got into the what and why. And then at the end of it, we ran out of time. We didn't get time to get into the how. Like, how do you actually recognize that you have a mindset shift that has to happen? And today, as we're talking about the topic for the day, we're talking about arts and entertainment. This is First Friday. So we like to kind of talk about arts and entertainment, enjoyment, and all of that. And how does that play into it? And we were razzing each other about the Seahawks and the Patriots and just the, this kind of mindset shift that some people that wear their team colors to a professional business networking might need to shift their mindset around a little bit.
And socks.
And socks, yes.
Socks.
Yes. Zane?
Stop it right
Change
there.
your mindset and change your
One and one more.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, we need to stop it right there. And so there's an aspect of enjoyment, right? When, like, we're joking, in case it wasn't clear, Zane and I are joking. We really genuinely enjoy each other's company. We're not taking shots at each other, but there's something about, and this is the aha moment that honestly, I feel like I just had. One of the things that we observed, and I think we talked about this last week, is that learning is kind of this traumatic thing. Mindset shift is traumatic. It's like, I thought I knew what I know, and what I knew that I knew was 100%. Now, all of a sudden, that gets shattered, and our ego takes a hit. Our sense of the world takes a hit. And one of the things that we observed is that art, music, movies, TV shows, a lot of times these things can soften the blow and or give us the aha moment that we need, where I'm rolling along in life, everything's good, and all of a sudden I'm listening to this song and a lyric catches me, and my feelers go left. I don't know if I'm doing this for the camera, for me, for the room. You get it. You go one direction, you zig, and where you thought you were going to zag, and it just kind of like gives you this dissonance that you have to then look at and kind of say, okay, what's going on? So to an extent today, I want to just talk about, like, how do you personally engage with mindset shifts? Like, what is your how? Not why do you do it? Not why is it important? Not what is it? But like literally, how do you get there? And then two, specifically, I want to focus on arts and entertainment. Where has music or TV, film, where have these things had an impact in your life in that regard? So that's kind of the gist. Looks like Dave's ready to kick us off.
Yeah,
So
I want to clarify some things here, because it seems to me that if you're going to have any kind of mindset shift, does it, and I'm asking everybody here to jump in on this, but I'm suggesting that it takes disruption or you can't have it. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
So disruption has to happen before you can have a mindset shift. We see it
Possibly.
in art and music and everything else, that all of a sudden this art piece that's on the wall stops us in our tracks.
Yeah.
That's a disruption.
I think I might ask if it's disruption or interruption. And the only reason I'm asking about that distinction is I totally agree with you. It has to be something that gets our attention. But something I've been thinking a lot around recently, that came to my attention this morning, Tiffany Kellogg, who's one of our advisors and is pretty powerful in her own right in marketing, all kinds of things, mentioned today that she works with a mindset coach among like 3 others. And I was like, and I talked with her offline, like I know what some of what she pays for that. And it is not small, right? But for her, she sees it as essential in her business.
Right.
Out of the coaches that she works with, that one of them is a mindset coach. And it got me thinking, you know, one of the conversations that's been coming up a lot recently is what gets us to a point that we are interrupting our own thought patterns when they come up. So when we see a negative thought pattern and we start to recognize it, what are we doing ourselves to interrupt it and to start to shift that, which is more the micro level. But interrupt versus disrupt. I don't know if there's.
By the same token, though, when you just said that, you said you found out that she was part of a mindset kind of group, right?
So I think I knew that, but she mentioned that of the 3 coaches she works with, one of them is mindset specifically. And I was like, whoa,
And when you learned that, that was a disruption.
right, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the interruption frame a little bit more. The reason why is I think it was Brian Tracy, might have been Jim Rohn, but said like change comes from one of 2 situations. It's either from inspiration or desperation. And I feel like the disruption has connotations or implications for the desperation aspect. And I feel like interruption leaves room for more of the inspiration. I've never been disrupted and inspired at the same time, right? Disruptions usually create that desperation. And I feel like, yeah, I like interruptions, but we're nitpicking on word choices.
I was getting ready.
Yeah,
Okay, let's not go too deep into semantics,
we're
guys.
way too deep on that. Yeah.
Oh, you were heading somewhere else, or were you just?
Yeah, so I like to leave space for, not that change doesn't just have to happen when you're in the muck or in the crap or whatever PG terms we use on the podcast. It can also happen when you're trying to climb the mountain, when you're looking ahead for something positive. It can be inspiration or out of desperation, but it's usually those 2 inspire the change.
I'll speak from experience. It's usually desperation. You know, desperation is the catalyst. It's you become like that. Like I said, it's this breaking of the ego where you get to a point where you thought you knew everything you needed to know, and then you're like, I don't. Now I'm desperate to know what I need to know. And so at that point, the only thing you could possibly do to change your situation is to take action and to move forward towards the thing that you're uncomfortable with doing. And that is the thing that normally paralyzes us and keeps us in that state. Like sometimes indefinitely, you know, like sometimes we'll be so afraid of whatever that is that we'll just distract ourselves with everything that we thought we knew, and we'll just keep doubling down on everything we knew and knowing that that'll get us by because it's been getting us by. But, and then on the opposite end for inspiration, when you still do appreciate what you already do know and you do put your nose to the grindstone, things do end up working. And in those little moments of things working, that becomes inspiring and it gives you that moment of like, I can actually pivot and do something a little bit different right now while this is working. You know what I mean? And so like this worked. So now it gives me the breath to even have faith to come over here and, you know, to do something that's disruptive, you know, out of your routine. It makes you literally go outside of everything you know and what you normally do.
So I'll pick up with that again because what's triggering for me in this is my work with systems. And one of the principles of a system is that it will continue to function and deliver what it was designed to deliver until it doesn't work. So once you have a system, you're going to keep doing that system. And then at some point, you're going to realize it's not working for me anymore. And that's when the trauma happens because you suddenly realize, wait a minute, all the rules that I thought I knew weren't exactly there. I was thinking about your story about your daughter last week, that she knew how to conjugate the word goose.
Right.
And she did so. And then she was told, no, that's not right. And she was not ready to accept that her understanding of language was not complete. And so she ended up struggling, no, it's not, it's, here. And the same thing happens with any natural system or man-made system. It produces exactly what it's designed to produce until somebody says, hey, that's not consistent, that's not right. Then suddenly it's like, oh, wow, okay, now I gotta go back, tear everything down again and build it back up to this. And where this ties in for me with art is I found myself recently rewatching a sci-fi series that I'm, fond of. I've been watching Star Trek Discovery. And in the second season, their nemesis was a computer AI program called Control. And
Yeah.
there was a moment, in which they were given a powerful bank of knowledge, and Control knew that if it got a hold of that knowledge, it would become sentient. It would have no longer need of human beings. And there was, it's a sci-fi, so there's some time travel involved. Somebody's saying, if you let this happen, all life will be destroyed. And so all of a sudden, and I was watching this and I'm going, wow, what a metaphor for what's going on right now. And this was, almost 10 years ago, this was, being written. And yet it's a system. And in the show, they developed and portrayed a system that, you can stand back and say, yeah, I see where there's a lot of desire to get control, to be able to manipulate things to a desired outcome. And so somewhere we have to learn to treat what we know lightly, so we're more sensitive when things are quite in alignment, and we can go back and question every foundational rule we think we know and come back and say, maybe it's not exactly like that. And that's where learning takes place.
I'm gonna do my best to not go on an AI deep dive. I've been outspoken on that before, but I do like that you brought us back into the arts and entertainment conversation. I was thinking for myself on that topic with arts and entertainment, my interruption to get inspiration for mindset shifts. I like a good biography film can be a great source of inspiration to kind of see and replicate. And I think if we spend more time with biographies, that does help kind of with some mindset shifts. You get to see, you get to have some role models that you can shape yourself after, things that you see in other people that you admire, whether it's something as, I don't know why my first thought went to The Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith's not the most loved name anymore, but I mean that to watch a father persevere to become a success is inspiring. And it also, part of that process was his cold calls, and there's that scene in there where he's doing the outreach, and probably the least favorite job of most people that are self-employed is the outreach process. But to see someone rise up through that, it changes how you view things. Watching biographies can kind of give you a model to shift that mindset towards. That's probably the way that I use arts and entertainment the most to inspire mindset shifts.
What's really cool about biography is that when it's an autobiography, you really get deep into like looking through the world through their eyes. And I read a book with the autobiography of Nikola Tesla, and it was only 94 pages, but every other sentence you're pulling up the dictionary, looking up what a word means. Because the big two experiences in his early adulthood was getting bedridden sick And that gave him the opportunity to only read. So that's what created his insanely creative mind, was reading every book, reading entire libraries as a kid. And so just having such a dynamic vocabulary, it just gives you so much more puzzle pieces to create color and imagery in your world view. And I think that's a major like contributor to, you know, what made him such a historical character.
I'm curious, you brought up Nikola Tesla right away as like one of your favorite autobiographies. We're talking about mindset shifts. What you love that book. You talked about that book first. What did, other than the vocabulary, what did you get from that book that caused a change in you afterwards?
That's a good question. I'd say the main reason I brought it up is because I haven't read that many books.
Okay.
You know, honestly. But that being the main one that came to mind in terms of biographies, like I've read a biography of Leonardo da Vinci, right?
Okay.
But it's not his autobiography. So you get this very biased kind of historical, like pictograph, of, you know, just kind of like stats, you know, oh, this is what they did, and here's some sketches. But with the autobiography, it's his written word. You get to form. What was powerful about it for me is just reading how his mind thought. Like literally actually looking through and thinking how he thought, because you're reading his words that he thought in his mind. And there is something transformative of that. I just try to bring up another part of the book that was really fascinating, that he talked about how he observed in our human nature. Like we all intrinsically know that we're kind of solar beings. Like we'd rather be up at night, and it's, you know, it's, there's a reason that it's, you know, bad for your health to have a graveyard shift, right? So he used one of these words that weren't in my vocabulary at the time, the concept of heliotropism, where it's the study of how plants grow towards the sun. And he said he observed that in people, just seeing how just like sensitive we were to our sun.
It's a hard topic for people that live in the north.
The sunset is coming out later and later. Like, please.
I've been excited. I was like shocked. It was 5 o'clock and I was like, there's light still.
Back the other direction.
I was real quick, Rob. I wanted to take a station break anyway. We're talking about the format of this and potentially sliding in sponsor windows. I realized that I forgot to talk about Dryfly is on the list for being the best of in the Inlander, and we'll potentially try to figure out how to put a link into the Facebook. But we, just as we're thanking Dryfly for being here, if you get a chance, vote for them for best of any one of the categories that they have out there. And I curiously, that thought brought me to a thought that I was thinking might come up, but I want to hear from Rob first.
So all I wanted to do was tie something Scott's been talking about to what we talked about last week, since we're at part 2 of mindset.
Yes.
So last week I introduced Gagne and how he studied good teachers and how they made mindset an issue. And one of the elements was just a quick recap. So to teach a mindset course, what Gagne said is you need to start with what doesn't work. You need to dig in a little bit and say, you think it works this way. You think the rules are this, but they don't do this. Then you take somebody through what really works. But then the third element, and I think this is what Scott's been highlighting, is you need to have a role model that illustrates the right mindset and what you can do with it, because everybody needs that target. They need to be able to look into the future and say, that's who I want to be, or that's where I want to get to. And then the fourth element is find your why. You know, why is this for you? Why was it important for you to make this change? And then finally, how do you support that change forever by making sure that there is some sort of ongoing support to remind me that you made this choice. What are you doing? How are you doing in this growth? Because ultimately, any mindset change you make will not be permanent until you replace the old system with a new system that you do habitually. You don't even think about it anymore. It's just, that's how we speak. Habitual language we learn.
Yeah, I love that because I think it kind of ties together a lot of the conversations we've been having of like, is it interruption or is it disruption? Is it, what's the role of the arts versus like, do you have to hit bottom like an addiction? Do you know what I mean? And I think there's really, it's kind of, I love how you tied together that there's kind of different levels that we're talking about. There is a part where oftentimes if it is something that is deeply seated in us and has maybe become part of character or has become something that we're struggling with that we don't know how to get out of. Sometimes we're aware, sometimes we're not aware. And whether externally or internally, we do kind of have to hit bottom. And there are certain things where it's like, I know I've been through it. So I sometimes when I'm coaching with somebody or I'm working with somebody, there's a time where I'm just like, yeah. They're like, well, how do I do this? I'm like, because I know you're gonna have to hit we're not there yet. You don't want it bad enough. You have to have something that you are at risk of losing that is absolutely like central to everything that you love to be willing to change that. Because otherwise you've got too much reward system that's built in, and I get it because I've been there, but everything is not there that way. Sometimes it's something that is kind of more of a like, I'm there, I get it. I know that I've got this systematic thing that's keeping me going this way. This isn't this deep seated, like I made a vow when I was 3 and I don't know what it was. So I keep on this track subconsciously that keeps me doing this thing. It's just like, there's some system that's not serving me and I'm not even aware enough because I don't have enough perspective. So kind of who's that person who's looking into it? And then once we are there, who's the person or the group of people, the community that are all moving together in the same direction, maybe different starting points, maybe different ending points, but all committed to the same journey in the same area, who are holding us accountable to going like, yeah, I really wanted to do that, but it's Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Are you gonna not do that thing this 4th day this week?
I think that there's also something to be said for being willing and able and being okay with making mistakes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of mistakes turn into really cool things.
I'm gonna say this proclamatorily.
What is that? Probably.
Like I'm proclaiming. This is probably, somebody just said probably a word. Sure, we'll go with it. This is why we do this. Like I just had this huge aha moment for myself in the combination of everything that was, and I think that's why this is so important for us to just get together, say what's on our mind.
Call the mastermind.
Pause. It's really, it's great. So like, just that alone, like find community where you can verbally process your thoughts. The aha moment for me, and this is like, it's been almost on the tip of my brain, and I'm sure it's been said, even Debbie, the way you said it just now, I'm probably just regurgitating it. Nonetheless, this was like, wow. So we're talking about like destructive and interruption, like just kind of like this, like the devastating, we have to hit rock bottom. And then on the other side, like the inspiration, like, oh, that simple little thing shifted my mindset. And I think what we see, and I gleaned this, it's like it was in the air and I just kind of, I think I'm condensating it, is that there are some things in life that we're unaware of. We are not aware of how lowly of spirit we are. Like, oh man, like I don't even know the thing that I need. And those, when we hit up against those are the traumatic, like we have to get to the end of our rope. We have to, all of these things, like something has to die for that new life to spring up.
In the fire we are cleansed. It's a rising phoenix.
Exactly. Once that happens, there is also a tendency to slide back into the mindset that you were previously, we'll use the word trapped in. You don't go all the way back to where you need a traumatic event. You just need somebody to remind you like, hey, if you smile and sit up straight, like if you exercise gratitude, like, we just need that little inspiration to be like, oh yeah, I don't have to walk around depressed all day. I don't have to be angry at the world. I've already earned this mindset shift. I've just started to slide back into it, and somebody can come along, a little piece of art, maybe the thing that originally pushed us over the edge to become, we get close to it and like, oh, I don't ever want to go back there. Alec and I had a conversation quite some time ago. I don't know if you'll recall this, but the aha moment that I had in that moment is that sometimes we're too comfortable, right? Like when you start out with an entrepreneurial endeavor, you're like, go from 9 to 5 to becoming the world is on fire. You have to, if you don't figure this out, you're going back to pushing carts at Trader Joe's, whatever that might look like. And so like you are passionate about figuring out, once you get to a certain level, you get kind of comfortable. Like, Debbie, you and I were talking about this yesterday.
Yep.
Like you get to this place where it's like, I would like to do this project. I would like to see this new business start up. I don't need to do it today. And so we get into that and that again is where that inspiration of like, hey, you have something, and this is part of our conversation, you have something to bring to the world. And I want to see that bad enough that I'm going to poke the bear a little bit and be like, what's holding you? That was the question you asked me. What's holding you back? What's keeping you from doing this thing that you say you want to do, but we've been talking about it for a while and it hasn't happened yet?
The key thing in that I'm sure everybody probably came to the conclusion of is you gotta talk to somebody about this. You can't just be like this isn't a one-sided thing. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna poke myself to do this. You gotta get somebody else to poke you about it.
Right, that's
Love that.
perceptive, you're picking that up well. And what I'm picking up is that instead of silently dealing with whatever it is, and I feel like we all will hold whatever burden it is, that we're dealing with, because, it's easier to be like a wallflower than, in the spotlight and bugging everybody, right? But I'd say it's a strong quality of being vulnerable to put yourself out there and to let everyone know how you feel. Like tell people like, I'm not feeling good. Like I feel this way, whatever it is. And then that gives the person the opportunity, whoever is in your network of, holding you accountable with basic things like mindset, like you said, like just being grounded in gratitude, having an attitude of gratitude, like that simple spark and found fundamental like position is when you're in the wrong mindset, not easy to just flip a switch. You know what I mean? You need a counterpart. You need someone to be like, yeah, be the yin to my yang right now. I'm not feeling good, but at least you know why. And you could kind of hold that space in a sense for me and be like, but we all know, right? You could hold that person accountable. Like, even if they're being negative, you could be like, you could tell them like, well, you're just being negative right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily when you're being negative, so easy to shift out of that negative position that you're in.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a sleep when you wake up fresh day, but it's not that it's not like a flip the switch. And it's so important to have, I'll bring it together with an acronym that my lady actually came up with. It's called CRUST. You can't have love without trust. You gotta have communication, respect, understanding, support, and trust. Without those 5 pillars, you can't have sound like the life without any one of those pillars done.
I like it.
Can you repeat that acronym?
Hold on though, real quick. I do want you to repeat it, and then I want to give a heads up to those of you that are being quieter. Love our listeners in the room. And what this really is a gentle reminder to those of us that are comfortable jumping right in to like, let's just take an extra little bit longer pause so that our quieter folks that have been very contemplative until this moment have a chance to share. We are getting towards the end of the hour. So I want to recap that. And then those of you that are like, have had some thoughts, I want to give you an opportunity to bring that out. So yeah, tell us more about crust.
How do we get crusty love?
So communication, respect, understanding, support, and trust. And it's not necessarily in that order. It's all intertwined. You gotta have all 5 pillars to have that level of trust and love. And, at the end of the day, that's what Entire Beatles songs, right? Wrote around it. All you need is love, right?
I love it. And like a good pizza crust, all the good feelings can be held within that.
Yeah. I think for me, or, I mean, you grow up and you have a lot of mindsets that are kind of set, right? And then you get older and you start to realize maybe I actually don't agree with that. And so it's a challenge, right? You're being challenged with a different outlook on something. And you have to have curiosity with that as well. And there's so many people that you talk to them about something and they say something along the lines of, well, that's just the way I think. And I am a huge documentary person. I love documentaries. I binge watch them. As I'm getting ready for the day, I turn them on. This is what I do. I love autobiographies. I love biographies, anything to do with history. I love that too. But I have been on a deep dive on cults lately and the mindset with that. And it is really interesting the transition that can happen when someone is in a cult and you're being really told how to act, what to do, what to say, what to think. And then they get out of that and they have a mindset shift. But they have to be challenged by what they think and what they have done for some of them, most of their life or all their life. And then they have to be curious about what's actually happening in the rest of the world. And I think that is the same for us. We're not in a cult. I don't believe we are, but it is the same for us and how we grow up and what we think and what we are taught. And even for our kids, we have 3 kids. Leonidas is our oldest, like he's going to have to figure it out for himself. What does he think? And actually being open with him and our other kids, like, this is what I think. What do you think? And that can be so true of art as well. And I can interpret something and everybody else in this room can interpret something totally different. And then the curiosity can come, like, why do you think this art is this way for you? So that's just something that I've been thinking about during this conversation, but I think it applies to so many different ways on how we live our life and how we interact with other people.
Love it.
I was thinking too, Jonathan, as you were mentioning how we can tend to fall back, right? Like we shift and then we kind of fall back. And why is that? And as we're talking, and not that it's a bad thing, right? To have an attitude of gratitude or try to shift to a positive. But if we shift too fast to those positives without dealing with why we're upset or why we're not feeling right in the first place, then we fall back. And I think that's where, for me, art, whether it's, images or music or whatever it is, can really help you to identify, oh, that's why I'm upset. That's why I'm not feeling good, and process that. Like, sit in that uncomfortableness, feel it, own it, understand it. And then you can find that gratitude will come from that. Now I can be grateful for, okay, I figured out why I am not comfortable with this mindset. Here's what I'm going to take away from it. Here's what I'm going to add to it. And now I have a new mindset. And I'm not just glossing over it. I'm not just moving to the next thing. I'm confident. And could you still slide back? Yes. But you're less likely to if you've dealt with it and you understand yourself. Do we all understand truly who we are? No. So be uncomfortable, because that's, a lot of life is uncomfortable, but you can do more in it once you find it.
I like that. I'm still encouraging the quiet ones to chime in, but I do want to just add to that, because what I was thinking about a lot with the inspiration is like the lofty feelings, the good feelings. And yes, like watching a show or a movie or listening to a song that makes me cry, or at least get to that place where I feel like I'm going to cry. It's really tough to cross over that threshold and actually do it. But like, yeah, feelings are for it. It's really good, and I like the both end, really good, and I like the both end approach to that.
Do you want to say something? Well, there's so much in the room, right? That's great.
Yeah.
And I want to say, yeah. But if someone was to ask me, how would you change your mind about something? I would say, I'm right in the middle of a whole bunch of mind changes in my life. And one of the things, well, first of all, I don't think it can happen outside a community, and real accountability is actually really, really important. So having a group or someone that you can talk honestly with about stuff that maybe not your spouse, because it can be a little more complicated, but I think that's first of all, like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I would be anywhere without a small group of guys that I can really be honest and transparent about. But for me lately, it's been cold showers. I swear to you, it's ridiculous. I cannot believe how much cold showers have dramatically changed things like mindset, where I'm agreeable to do the unagreeable things because I have forced myself to be miserable.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not gonna die. And I swear to you, if you want to change your mind about something and have some backbone, this cold shower idea is remarkable. And it's funny because I would have said maybe 10 years ago, oh, it's a bunch of hooey, but man, it really changed my life. And the other thing is just having access to content. This mindset mentor, I keep thinking about him because he was the first one that really challenged me on mindset stuff. And it was just a podcast. And the guy does a little bit of reading. I'm sure he's using AI. He has guests on, but I can't tell you. Yeah. How many times I listen to that guy's podcast and I'm like,
You're always so dialed.
reclaim my time.
The floor is yours.
That was funny. That was funny.
No, but I mean, just embracing the reality that there are people farther along this little journey. And I was just telling Linda this morning, like sometimes it's embarrassing. Something that's so simple, you learned in high school or grade school even, and you're like, man, how can I at 63, yeah, I'm 63, I know, still not have gotten my mind wrapped around the idea that, loving others is always better. You know what I mean? Like something so simple. And, but accountability, open content, be humble. Those are my, my 2 cents.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate that thing that happens. And I think everybody here can also appreciate it, where you get to a point and whatever it is, you shift your mindset and you're just starting to roll. Like, you're like, I've got this life figured out. Like this is, and then you come into the presence of any one of the people that are in this room, and they just casually drop something that they observed or a book that they read, something they just humble you, and they're not even trying to. Just I'll give you an example. You're gonna maybe blush a little bit, but Debbie, I'm having coffee with her yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, excuse me, I really need to take this call." Which, with us being entrepreneurs and all that stuff, you can all appreciate oh, this is an urgent call, and full on just jumps right in Spanish. Not you have those friends that think they speak Spanish, and you're at a restaurant, they try to order in Spanish, and the waiter's no. No, she client call in Spanish. She speaks French fluently, both kinds. And it's just one of those moments where it's you're cruising along and you're like, oh, wow. No, I haven't experienced life at all. And the counterpoint is you have, right? So it's easy to go from one extreme to the other of oh man, I'm never going to live up to the expectations of this room. Don't let it humble you. Let it make you curious. Let it make you think, ooh, what else could I aspire to? Don't let it put you into a downer oh, I'm 63 and I haven't. No, none of us have. None of us will. Beautiful, beautiful life.
Well, all I have to add, I mean, it's very provocative again.
Uh-oh.
No, the whole conversation.
Okay,
It's-
okay.
we're
Already provocative, okay.
Yeah, big time. However, with Tesla, so because I live by and exist by, people I admire, and I've done that my whole life, starting with my father, obviously, Howard Hughes. Okay, if you know who Howard Hughes is, and as far as Tesla goes, because I want to understand his mindset. Okay, so I've read books. And the interesting thing about Tesla that people don't grasp is he was able to tell stories and sit down with people of wealth and just blow them away with stories and would spend hours just talking about people going, "Ugh," you know? So part of our existence in life and achievement is that we need to tell more stories. Okay, so that's my observation of this provocative hour, but that's what we need to do more, to tell stories.
I heard a quote the other day by Story Brand author about how to brand your business using stories. And he said, you can't daydream when you're listening to a story. I thought that is interesting.
That is correct. And so Tesla would tell these stories.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's interesting too, because when you hear a sermon every once in a while and he's talking about Ephesians and he's droning on and on. And then he says, my son came over, and you're like, you feel your head go up, and we were sitting down getting ready to go hunting, and for the next 3 minutes, you're like just mesmerized. And then he gets back to Ephesians chapter 3.
Huh,
That's interesting.
I don't know if we have time. Could I ask a question?
we have time, yes.
Okay, something that I love that both of you brought up around story is kind of a thought that's kept going through my mind, which is we talked about kind of like that hit bottom moment. We've talked about the art that interrupts you. We've talked a lot about that interruption moment, right? And then also about the accountability. But when it comes to the actual moment of shift, one thing I love that Zane brought up was that part of like, let's make sure it's not fake. We can't go for it too soon. It's a great part of the accountability and the habits to practice daily gratitude. That's awesome. But when we're really kind of dealing with that thing we're grappling with, if we jump in too fast, it shifts us into this fake state that our brain does not believe. And it actually is counterproductive. It actually creates resistance in our brain to where we're not believing ourselves because we know we're not being authentic. So that part where we sat with it, what is that part that bridges the gap? What's the part that makes a safe place for us to be able to actually, when we're ready, cross that gap and create that shift?
Yeah, where do you draw the line?
I think that ties into last week's conversation, because I think the gentleman's name was Reed, right?
Yes.
Reed was talking a lot about like I am statements, and I tied that in with like self-identity, but self-identity, self-image, it's kind of the story you tell yourself about yourself. And so to maintain that authenticity, to prevent that internal resistance, it's just identifying that story that you're telling about yourself to yourself, that self story.
It's good.
I wanna tie in, because I think, Debbie, what you're talking about is one of those key. How do you ingrain it, you know? And you can tell yourself the story. And as Steven's pointing out, it's really subtle sometimes. You're telling yourself, I am this, I'm not feeling like this, and you know, things. I just, Tony Robbins was just doing his free 3 days last week. And so I tuned in again to, you know, just to kind of get reacquainted. One of the things I think Tony Robbins has dialed in is that nothing changes until you put yourself into a peak state before you plant what it is you want to be different. And so there is more than just a psychology of this is what I want and things. He's very methodical about the way you bring your body to a physical state where you can anchor something you want. And the whole purpose of it in his whole experience is that you can then move your body and it brings back what you've anchored to it. So if you want to live, you know, sure, community is great and we need to have that feeling like I have this outside, but internally, What you have to have is just that moment of saying, yeah, I got it. This is me, you know, this is what I wanna be. And just that action can bring it back. So you feel it again, because, you know, we're not. The brain, the frontal cortex, the rational part of our brain is a very small portion of our complete psyche. Most of it's the animal brain in the back. What the animal brain knows is fight or flight. So when you're ready to move your body, put yourself back into that state, then you're going to remember the thing that you anchored there.
And I think that part, that, you know, I didn't want to kind of influence it because I'm really curious what people have found works. But I think what you're really talking about when you mentioned the frontal cortex, you have to get into a state where that's not in conversation. Because it will keep walking you. It'll keep getting in there and going like, well, I think this is not an I think conversation. Internal, like mindset shift, deep mindset shift does not happen in the I think space. It happens in the more unconscious or subconscious space. And so to me, you mentioned the physical activity. What is that thing that gets you in the meditative state where you're, for all intents and purposes, you know, your frontal cortex is not driving things or blocking things and going, no, but that doesn't make sense. No, but you committed to this. No, but remember how you have this reputation for being this person who like, right? And it's going to keep you in that space. So to me, you know, I love how you talked about the exercise. What is it that's getting us where we're in that meditative space? We're kind of, our body's busy, so our mind's able to roam. Or is it, somebody mentioned movies, you know, especially the documentaries or whatever. For me, just like a saga, an epic Lord of the Rings, you know, 300, like, or 500, whatever that number is, like 100, you know,
Leonidas knows.
Sometimes, and very rarely, it can be that safe relationship. It has to be a really safe relationship, right? But something where you're able to kind of process things in a place where you're really just kind of taking a seat back and you're totally in safety. You can just let your mind roam over those things that you've been mulling over, the thing that you got stuck on, the thing that you allowed yourself not to solve with your intellect, that you allowed yourself to go, I'm not ready yet. Help me get to the space where I'm ready. And as you've been processing it and getting ready, then that shift can happen.
I like that. And we're probably going to more or less end on this note. So like, great thought for the end of this. The fascinating thing for me that cracks open, and we don't have time to get into it. Maybe this will just be next week, will be the like where physiology meets psychology. And I have read several really good books about like back when science first did X, Y, or Z. And there was, as I understand it, kind of like this splitting where it's like, okay, you guys deal with the brain and how it functions, and we're going to deal with the body and how it functions. And we're going to assume that they're two completely different systems. And even just observationally, we still think that way. And it's like, you know, decades now of science that has disproved that it is all interrelated and interconnected.
Mind before matter.
All the things. So that's definitely, I want to maybe explore the idea of keeping this thread going through the week and diving into it next Friday. Man, so good. Like so many good things there. I appreciate everybody's input. And also the health and wellness coaches in the room are like, yes, eat healthy, move your body. So yeah, for those of us in the room, for those of you at home, I encourage you, like, as always, take something out of this. One thing for me, like in that aha moment of like movies making me feel emotional, like give yourself permission to enjoy a good movie, a good song, and recognize that is like a form of self-care. You're like allowing yourself to hear a story, to be told a story that maybe reinforces what you believe or challenges what you believe. So all of that. And then I fully, wholeheartedly endorse, move your body, stand up, just get a little bit of motion going, be mindful of what you eat. All of this stuff helps with that. You mentioned having a group of guys, Alec. I will say it doesn't have to be a group of guys. If you have a group of women, if you have a group of teenagers, if you're like, find other people. I won't even, I'll say like you, but they don't even have to be like you.
Yeah.
Find 4 people, 5 people, one other person that you can be vulnerable with, be a little uncomfortable knowing that you're in a safe space. That is huge. So yeah, like so many things, we could probably have AI like create a list of what we just talked about and promote that, publish that as a, here's what Friday Conversations came up with. But like so much good stuff in here. Take one thing, let it change your life this week. I again want to thank Idic Designs, Rob Reuter for lunch, Dryfly for hosting us here. And next week, our theme is generosity. So we can potentially explore how we can have mindset shifts around our generosity. My brain's already going like, whoa, this is good.
Everybody should be bring $20 next week.
Everybody bring $20 for the 300 champion over here. Appreciate you guys that are here in the room. Thank you, everybody that tuned in live. We will see you all next Friday.